Hi everybody, Dan Illman here. The holidays are right upon us and DRF is offering the deal of the year. 20% off Formulator and Classic Pass performances, clocker reports, digital paper, DRF picks, and much, much more. The coupon code for our Black Friday sale, BLFRI22. Visit shop.drf.com for details. Sale ends soon, so don't you dare miss it. Dan Illman, Mike Beer taking a look at race number 7 at Aqueduct on Friday. It's one of 3 stakes races on the card, 2 graded. This is the grade 3 Cumley. We're going a mile and an eighth. This race for 3-year-old fillies. Let's take a look at the field. I thought this was a very competitive group. The 4 Kathleen O is going to attract a lot of attention because she went into the Kentucky Oaks undefeated after 4 starts, a multiple graded stakes winner for Shug McGahee. She ran fine with a good trip and pace flow in the Kentucky Oaks. Now she's going to have to do it off a layoff against some pretty solid horses.
Yeah, solid horses. I guess there's a way to look at it, Dan, and just say if she can come back off this layoff and just pick up where she left off when we last saw her, then she's supposed to be pretty hard on this field. We'll see. It's not, Shug McGahee, it's interesting. He doesn't really have great numbers off of layoffs like this, especially with dirt routers. And, personally, just from the whole run up to that Kentucky Oaks, I was never sold on this horse, and I'm not really sure how short a price I would take on her.
There may be a fair pace for her to run at. From watching her earlier this year, it seems like she could use a little bit of pace. Falconet, I believe, is going to the front. And although Tizzy in the Sky went gate to wire in her last 2 races, she came to hand very nicely for her riders, especially in her most recent start. I have a feeling that she will let Falconet get to the front and be comfortable sitting in second.
I'm going to agree with that. I think they will both. They'll be the 2 horses up front. I suppose the one is another horse you would have to think could show speed from the rail, especially based on her last start, the first time they stretched her out, because that was a solid pace and she was contesting it. And she has a late running stablemate in here. So, this horse from the rail might be on ascent.
Both of those horses trained by Butch Reed, the one Pistol Liz Ablazin, and of course the well-traveled number 6 Morning Matcha. Let's watch Pistol Liz Ablazin. Mike mentioned the last race. It was the first start around 2 turns. It was over a sloppy track, as you see. It was a fast pace. It was a contested pace. And not only does she shrug off this horse, but she goes on and wins as much the best.
Yeah, I thought she looked good winning this race. Took pressure on the lead from that horse that she's leaving behind in second right now, and that horse was the even money favorite. Just put that horse away and really finished the race off. This is a pretty good performance. She probably has to run even better than that against this field, Dan, but she looked good last time.
She is moving the right way. She's going to be a price in this race. You do have to wonder if the mud moved her up. She is now 2 for 2 on a wet track. The number 2 is 63 Caliber coming in for Tom Amos. This horse has won her last 2 starts, and she's actually won 4 of her last 5. Now, the only loss came the one time they stepped her up into graded stakes company. That was in the Indiana Oaks. I do believe she has some class concerns to address, especially coming into this 9-furlong race off a 2-month layoff.
I agree with that. And I won't knock her. She feels like she is getting better with every start that she makes. She's won 4 of her last 5 starts. But when I look at the last race where she beat a couple of these horses, I thought she ran fine in there, Dad. But man, there was almost no point in that race where I thought she was going to win. And then she finally surged at the end and got up. It was, sort of one of those more game performances than anything else. Any of her other starts, they just don't really do much for me, Dan. So I didn't really want to bet her in here, but she might be a good price.
And she looks like she's getting good at the right time. The 5th place finisher from that last race did come back to win a 2nd-level allowance at Keeneland with an 88 buyer. And she does have some tactical speed as well. Scratch Cat is the number 3. She finished 3rd behind 63 Caliber in that overnight stake at Churchill last time out. She came back and ran at Keeneland in this spot, and she had finished ahead of Cocktail Memories in the Seneca overnight. She'll finish behind her here. She's going to come with her run on the outside. She stays on her left lead. She had a brief look at it turning for home and just grinds up for second.
Yeah, this isn't a performance that I love. On her wrong lead, sort of drifting in a little bit there. This is that short stretch, though, at a mile and a 16th at Keeneland. I suppose that could have worked against her a little bit. I actually felt like the race 2 back, the Seneca, I thought she ran pretty well in that race because it just seemed to me like she was compromised by the way that race was run. I thought she finished a good 3rd, but then I didn't like her most recent start, Dan, so I didn't really know what to do with her.
The 4 is Kathleen O. She is our morning line favorite based on victories earlier this year in the Devona Dale, in the Gulfstream Park Oaks, and she ran a good fifth in the Kentucky Oaks. She was facing the best 3-year-old fillies in the country, the likes of Nest and Secret Oath and Echo Zulu, etc. But she also got a very good closer's trip and ride from Javier Castellano. She saved ground most of the way. She was able to get out at just the right time, turning into the stretch, and she was just kind of one-paced in the lane.
Agree with all that stuff. I mean, she ran fine in the Kentucky Oaks, but she didn't have any real big excuse in there. After taking some money, her races down at Gulfstream over the winter were both good. That Gulfstream Oaks, though, I mean, we've talked about that race before. That was a terrible field, and I know it got a big figure, but I'm not buying into that. Is she the best filly in here? I'll put the best in quotes because who knows? Maybe she is, but that doesn't mean that I want a short price on her here off the layoff.
And she missed all the big races for 3-year-old fillies this year. Races like the Coaching Club American Oaks, races like the Mother Goose in the Alabama. Towards the end of the Saratoga meet, Shug said that this was the spot she wanted to run in the Comely and concentrate on a 4-year-old campaign. We'll see if she's really cranked up for this. If not, we'll likely see her at Gulfstream soon. Nostalgic is up next. This is a graded stakes winner over course and distance. She won the Gazelle during the spring meet at Aqueduct, and I thought she ran very well last time out against older horses in the Turn Back the Alarm. Keep in mind this is a very short field and there was no pace going on, and the horse on the lead, Battle Bling, is a really rock solid older horse. Nostalgic tried to come from last and she really tries hard. It looks like here she'll finish a good second, beaten 3 lengths. She makes it real tight at the wire.
Yeah, she's making up a lot of ground. This horse on the lead, Battle Bling, you can see that horse just starting to shorten stride here, and it allows Nostalgic to make it close. It was still, I thought, a decent performance, Dan. You go back to the races at Saratoga over the summer, just races where she really didn't have much of a chance, in my opinion, to be competitive in those races. After the Gazelle, though, that Kentucky Oaks, I know that line looks bad. She did not have a good trip in that race. I think she ran a lot better than it looks in the Oaks, and I liked seeing her get back on track a little bit last time.
And even if you don't like her performance in the Oaks, it's fair to say, take out the Jockey Club Oaks, take out the Alabama Coaching Club in Kentucky Oaks, where she's way overmatched. You're left with 2 9-furlong races at Aqueduct, where she's right there, and she might actually be a fair price on the tote for the red hot team Godolphin. Morning Matcha is up next. I respect this horse because it seems like she dances every dance, and she got a little bit of a break after running second in the Cotillion. Now, she was never going to beat Society, who just had all the best of it on the lead over a speed favoring track, and is a pretty good filly in her own right. But I like the way they rode Morning Matcha. They took her back, they made one run, and they were rewarded with a graded stakes placing. I think they're going to try similar tactics here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they probably have no choice but to try to do the same thing here and see if it sets up for it. It's at least worth pointing out the Cotillion, even though Society was the horse cutting that pace, it was a pretty fast pace. I mean, it's not like Society was walking on the lead there. We'll see how fast they go in front of her here. I thought she was pretty hard to make in this race, Dan. But I like you, I respect her just because she just shows up and she runs every single time.
Falconet will try a 1 1/8 for the first time for trainer Todd Pletcher. She is a very lightly raced daughter of Uncle Mo, and she was able to shake loose in that Seneca overnight last time out, and it looked like she had the race in the bag, and she just got late in the last 100 yards or so. And not only was she was run down by 63 Caliber, but her gallop out didn't look very strong either. The Iowa Oaks, she was the big favorite in that race. She got beat. She is speed. The question is, can she carry that speed 9 furlongs against a pretty good field with a horse like Tizzy in the Sky breathing down her neck?
Yeah, it could be key just to see whether she can get comfortable on the lead in this race, and she might not be able to do that. I thought it was a pretty disappointing loss last time, Dan. I mean, I don't think it was a terrible performance by any stretch, but it's still probably a race she's supposed to win considering the trip that she had. I do respect that she's taking steps forward incrementally. It feels like she gets better every time they send her out there, but I think she has to improve again.
Tizzy in the Sky has all the potential in the world, going out for trainer Jose Camejo, who is very, very underrated. This filly has only raced 4 times, but her last 2 races were super impressive. A maiden win 2 starts back where she just went to the lead and then destroyed 3 next out winners. And then this spot, a first level allowance race where she cleared off, made the lead, came to hand, opened up again. And, this is how you want a horse jumping up into stakes competition to look. I know it's only a first level allowance race. This jock is merely a passenger.
Yeah, I mean, she looks good winning this race, obviously. It's a very visually impressive performance. I mean, I have to take it with at least a little bit of a grain of salt because she was absolutely loose on a slow pace. And you have formulator PPs for this race. Go look up the horses that were behind her in there. That was not a good field. But still, she's run the 2 races that she's run in her last 2 starts. She's been really impressive winning those races, and she's still really lightly raced. I mean, obviously she has some talent, Dan. We'll see what kind of price she is.
And she got figs for those last 2 races that are comparable with some of the bigger names in here. She's 9-2 on the morning line and switches to Jose Ortiz. Top pick time for the Comely. I kind of believe in Kathleen O. I wonder if Shug will have her fit and ready for this race. I do think she might be a little bit of an underlay, so I'm going to tread lightly. I do think Tizzy in the Sky is going to be right in the thick of things when they turn for home. I want to use both of them as well as Nostalgic in any kind of multiple race wagers. I thought she was against the flow, and I think she's in sneaky good form.
Me too. I'm going to take Nostalgic in here. I thought that there was a chance she goes off at a fair price once again in this race. I'm going to take her. And, you know, Dan, I just ultimately decided to sort of stick with some of the closers in this race. Not Kathleen O, who's going to be a short price. I'll take the other 2, Nostalgic, who I've always liked her. And I think this is a good spot for her. And Scratch Cat, who she does have the race 2 back, where I think she ran deceptively well.
And she will be a price as well. A little bit of an in and outer, but her race 2 starts back, I thought, as you did, was pretty good. 5347 for Mike, 4853 for me. The grade 3 Comely for 3-year-old fillies. One of 3 stakes at Aqueduct on Friday. Good luck.